Okay, we are now going to talk about our punt system alignment and huddle. We will huddle occasionally, and a lot of it just depends on our game plans and what the punt block team is trying to do. But let's go through that and navigate through that and see how we can show you what we do and possibly help you. All right, here's our basic alignment for our shield punt. So if you'll notice from our right guard to left guard to the snapper, we're going to line up 2 yards. So we want to be a little bit tighter with that, and their toes are going to be on the heels of the snapper. Also, the guards are going to be the ones that are going to set the depth for the tackles and the ends. And then you can see the right tackle and the right end are 3 yards respectively, and then the left tackle and left end are 3 yards respectively. Now, we would also prefer them to be wider than tighter because most punt block teams are lining up on your particular players, probably through some sort of numbering system. And so as a result of that, if we're wider, if we line up wider, they'll line up as well. The right shield, they're going to line up directly in that A gap. You can see there the left shield in the A gap, and the PP has to be able to fit in between them. But the right shield, his job is to set the depth for the shield back there. His toes are at 7.5 yards. We use toes in our program. Some people use heels in theirs, but our toes is where we reference where to be. And really, the width between the right shield and the left shield are really based off the girth and the size of the personal protector. And so we want to make sure that he can fit in there, but also it's tight enough that we're protecting inside out. Then you can see our stances right there. So our guards, tackles, and ends, they're going to be in 2-point stance. Really, it says shoulder width, but we also push towards what we call armpit width because the wider your feet are, the more difficult it is to step. And we also want them on the balls of their feet. When you're on the balls of your feet, you're in good balance. When you're in good balance, then you can be able to step properly. So feet are too wide, difficult to step. If you're on your toes or heels, not on the balls of your feet, it's difficult to step because your body always wants to be in balance. So if you're wondering why your player is taking a false step, if he is, it's because your body wants to be in balance. What a false step is putting them in balance first, and so they take an extra step. So get them in balance originally, and then they won't have to take that extra step, and that's by being on the balls of their feet. Again, toes are aligned on the long snapper's heels. And then we talk about Z's and their knees, so basically Z's in their ankles, knees, and hips. And then we want their chest up and eyes forward. And then we want their hands on their thigh boards. I don't want hands on knees. I don't want hands just sitting down. I want them on their thigh boards lightly. I don't want them on their knees because we're going to jab with our knee. We're going to lift our knee slightly, and I don't want anything pushing down on the knee that should be moving forward. So it's just a mindset thing for us. And then our shield, similar thing. They're in a 2-point stance, shoulder width apart, toes at 7.5, and their weight is going to be on the inside foot because we're going to protect inside out. So that's our basic alignment. Here's a picture right here, and you might say, well, that doesn't look like a perfect alignment. You're exactly right. And so what we've done is we've kept this picture for our guys to be able to see. So you can see the different stances. So you can see right here, I would like this player to have his chest up a little bit more, and you can see his feet are a little bit too wide. And because if he's going to drop step into this guy, his feet are too wide. So in essence, he'll probably take a false step more than likely. Here's another example here. You can see with our right guard right here, he does not have his chest up and eyes up. And so again, chest up. And so these are better with their chest ups. But again, we want armpit width for the most part. Shoulder width is okay if a guy can handle that. And a lot of that depends on really just their body frame. And but you can tell whether or not a guy can step or not. You can see our right shield, toes 7.5. Then the left shield 7.5, and then the PP will fit right in there. So that's just our basic stance right there. Now, if we do huddle on the field, we call this a flying V. And really what we're doing is we're going to line up like this on the field, and then we're going to sprint to the line of scrimmage to get lined up. So this is what we call our attack mode. And so really the PP, he'll give the tempo. So he'll say attack red, ready swarm. And so that attack is just our tempo. So if we're not doing attack, we're just doing base. And so if we're in base, we're not huddling up on the field for attack. Now, by the way, in this attack mode right there, when they are doing that, they are actually looking at who they are going to protect by their pure numbers, which we will show you that here in a little bit. But again, attack, when we would typically use this huddle, is if a team is wanting to pin their ears back and come after and get it. And so what we do is we just run up to the line of scrimmage, get our feet set, snap the ball, and it prevents people from being able to really do that. So it's another version of what we'll do. Our cadence, here's how we teach this. And you just heard me talk about the base and the tack right there. So in the base, what we'll do is we'll have a coach on the sideline, get them together, and they'll call the depth chart out, make sure everybody's there. And then we send them out, we'll tell them base red or base blue or base brown or base black. We don't get in a ton of calls with our guys, but then they'll sideline huddle, protection call, then they'll get out. And then when they get out to the field, they're going to either give an even or an overload call. The even means obviously they probably have one returner most of the time. So if you eliminate one out of that 11, then you've got 10. So if they're 5 on one side, 5 on their other, then they're even, and then we would either get a red call or a blue call. Now, if there's 6 on one side, 4 on the other, then we would get an overload call. So whether it be overload left or overload right. Then our attack, we're going to huddle on the field. The shield sets the huddle. And so really that shield, he would set his toes. So the right shield would set his toes 7.5, and everybody would adjust their alignment off him. And then after the officials whistle, then the PP makes the call. Everybody hustles to the line of scrimmage, and then we are literally snapping that thing on set. So we already know whether or not in the huddle, whether or not we're going to go red or blue, and that's very contingent off where the ball is. And we'll talk more about that as we go along. Here's our cadence procedures. So I basically kind of described that to you. On the sideline, we'll huddle on the sideline on 4th down. You find the assigned coach. And again, we go over depth chart. We have the 1s go and the 2s are right behind them. Also, another thing culture-wise we have in our program, if you are, let's say, for instance, you're the one right tackle and you got banged up to there, your responsibility is to go and tell the 2 behind you, hey, you're banged up, not going to be able to go. Of course, our coaches are double checking that as well. So that's another way that we communicate to make sure that we get the right guy on the field. And then we want them to be alert on all 3rd down situations. And then once the 11 punt players are accounted for, then we sprint on the field and get set. And then I already talked through the cadence with you and how we're doing that. So basically we're going to look and see are they even on the right, even on the left? If they are, we're going to get an even, red set. That tells everybody the rules, who they have. And then we're going to get an even, blue set. And then of course, if we're in attack, then we're going to do the cadence there on or really the call in the huddle. And then we're going to sprint to the line of scrimmage, snap the ball on set. Now, one thing we also do during the cadence process, if a guy gets up there and he gets confused on who he has, anybody at any time can say check. And if they set check, everybody is pointing at who they are responsible for. And so we're not concerned about the punt block team knowing who's blocking them, because really it's about execution and it's really about identifying the right guys. So that's one of the things that we do during our procedures and our alignment process.